My name is Ryan Thompson. I'm 29 years old, and I used to work the night shift at an apartment complex in suburban Columbus, Ohio. It was one of those quiet, middle-class places. 3-story brick buildings, decent parking, families and young professionals. Nothing fancy, but safe. Or at least that's what everyone thought. I handled security and basic maintenance from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Most nights, it was boring. I'd sit in the small office by the front gate, watch the cameras, do a couple walkthroughs, and try not to fall asleep. The complex had 12 buildings and about 40 cameras. I got pretty good at scanning through them quickly. One Thursday night in late October, around 2:17 a.m., I was doing my usual sweep. Most screens showed empty hallways, quiet parking lots, and dark sidewalks. Then I stopped on camera 19, the one covering the back of Building 7 near the dumpsters. There was a person standing perfectly still between two parked cars. At first, I thought it was just a resident taking out trash late, but something felt off. The figure wasn't moving, not shifting weight, not looking at a phone, just standing there, facing the building. The hood of their jacket was up, and the streetlight behind them made their face completely black. I zoomed in. The image got grainy, but I could tell they were tall, really tall, maybe 6 feet 6 inches or more. I watched for a solid minute. The person didn't move once. Then, slowly, their head turned toward the camera. Not their body, just the head, like an owl. My stomach tightened. I leaned closer to the monitor. The figure raised one hand and waved, slowly, 3 times, like they knew I was watching. I froze. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I grabbed the radio and called my partner Mike, who was doing a foot patrol on the other side of the complex. "Mike, you near Building 7? Static. Then his voice, tired. "Nah, I'm over by the pool. Why?" "There's someone acting weird behind Building 7. Tall guy in a black hoodie. Can you swing by and check?" "On my way." I kept staring at the screen. The figure was still there, hand still slightly raised. Then it took one step backward, smooth and silent, and disappeared behind one of the cars. Mike radioed back a few minutes later, breathing a little heavy from walking. "Nothing here, man. Parking lot's empty. Dumpsters are clear." I rewound the footage. The timestamp showed the figure had been there, but when I played it forward again, the spot between the cars was empty. No one walking away. No movement. Just empty pavement under the orange glow of the sodium lights. I felt my mouth go dry. That night, I didn't sleep much when I got home. I told myself it was a glitch, bad angle, or maybe some kid messing around. 2 nights later, I was back on shift. Around 1:40 a.m., I was checking cameras again. This time, I went straight to camera 19. Nothing. Then I noticed camera 22, the one inside the stairwell of Building 7, 2nd floor. There it was. The same tall figure, standing on the landing, facing the wall. Hood still up, perfectly still. I felt the hair on my arms stand up. I switched to camera 23, the hallway on the 3rd floor. Empty. Camera 24, elevator lobby. Empty. I flipped back to the stairwell. The figure was gone. My hands were shaking as I grabbed the radio. "Mike, I need you to go to Building 7 right now. 2nd floor stairwell." "What's going on?" "Just go, please." I heard his footsteps on the gravel outside as he started moving. The sound came through the radio. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Then the heavy metal door of the building opening with a loud clang. "I'm in the stairwell," he said. "2nd floor, nothing here." I stared at the monitor. The timestamp on the footage was only 30 seconds old. "Check the 3rd floor," I whispered. Mike climbed the stairs. I heard his breathing get heavier. Third floor landing. Clear. I was about to tell him to come back when I saw it on camera 19 again, the back parking lot. The tall figure was standing in the exact same spot between the two cars, facing the building. But this time, it wasn't waving. It was pointing, directly at the camera. I felt ice run down my spine. Mike came back to the office 10 minutes later, looking annoyed. "Dude, there's no one there. You sure you're not seeing things?" I didn't answer. I just pulled up the footage and showed him. He watched in silence. When the figure pointed at the camera, Mike's face changed. "Play that again." We watched it 3 more times. Each time the pointing motion was there. But when we checked the live feed, the parking lot was empty. The next night, I called in sick. I couldn't sit in that office anymore. A week later, I quit the job. I still think about it sometimes when I'm driving at night, especially when I pass quiet apartment complexes with those dim orange lights. If you ever work night security and you see someone standing completely still on camera, facing your building, don't wave back. And whatever you do, don't let them know you saw them, because they already know you're watching. Some things only show themselves when they know someone is paying attention. And once they know, they don't forget. I was standing outside a Walmart in a small town outside of Pittsburgh around 11:30 at night. It had been raining for hours, that cold, steady fall rain that soaks through your jacket no matter what. My car was in the shop, so I had taken an Uber to do some late-night grocery shopping. Now I was waiting for my ride home. The parking lot was mostly empty, except for a few scattered cars and the glow of the streetlights reflecting off the wet asphalt. The app said my driver, Kevin, was 3 minutes away in a silver Honda Civic. I stood under the overhang near the entrance, hood up, bags at my feet. The rain made everything sound muffled. Then my phone vibrated. Message from Kevin. "Be there in 1 minute." I looked up. No silver Civic in sight. The lot was quiet except for the rain drumming on the metal roof above me. Another minute passed. Nothing. I refreshed the app. It still showed him arriving any second. Then I heard tires on wet pavement. A car pulled up slowly from the far end of the lot. Silver Honda Civic, Pennsylvania plates. The driver had his hazards on. I felt relieved. I grabbed my bags and started walking toward it. As I got closer, I noticed the driver was just sitting there, windows slightly fogged. I couldn't see his face clearly through the rain. I reached the back door and pulled the handle. Locked. I knocked on the window. The driver turned his head toward me, but very slowly, like he was in slow motion. He was wearing a black baseball cap pulled low and a surgical mask. His eyes looked glassy under the interior light. The lock clicked open. I opened the back door, tossed my bags in, and climbed inside. The car smelled strange, like old fast food mixed with something metallic. "Thanks for coming out so late," I said. The driver didn't answer. He just put the car in drive and started moving. I pulled out my phone to check the route. The GPS showed we were heading the right way toward my apartment complex, about 15 minutes away. But after a couple minutes, I noticed we weren't taking the usual route. He turned left onto an old service road that ran behind some warehouses instead of staying on the main highway. "Hey man," I said, "I think the GPS wants us to stay on 376. No response. The rain was coming down harder now. The wipers were slapping back and forth, but the driver still hadn't said a single word. I started feeling uneasy. My heart picked up a little. I looked at the app again. The ride was still active, but the driver's name had changed from Kevin to ... Just a blank line. I glanced up at the rearview mirror, trying to see his eyes. He was staring straight ahead, both hands on the wheel at 10 and 2, perfect posture. Then he slowly reached up and turned the rearview mirror so I couldn't see his face anymore. That's when my mouth went completely dry. I quietly unlocked my phone and opened the door lock button on the app, just in case. The car slowed down as we approached a long stretch of road with no streetlights, just trees on both sides and darkness. I could hear my own breathing. Suddenly, the driver pulled over onto the gravel shoulder and stopped the car. The engine kept running. He sat there for a few seconds, then turned around in his seat to look at me. The surgical mask was still on, but now I could see his eyes clearly. They were completely black. No whites, just solid black. He tilted his head slightly. I didn't think. I just yanked the door handle and threw myself out into the rain. I hit the wet gravel hard, scraping my hands. My bags stayed in the car.
The driver didn't move. He just watched me through the open door as the rain poured in. I scrambled to my feet and started running back toward the Walmart, which was now a tiny glow in the distance. I didn't look back until I was under the lights of a gas station about half a mile down the road. When I finally turned, the silver Honda was gone. No taillights, no sound of an engine. I called the police from the gas station. They took a report, but when they checked the Uber app, there was no record of any ride requested at that time from that Walmart. No driver named Kevin. No silver Honda Civic matched to my account. The next morning, I canceled my Uber account and deleted the app. I still get nervous whenever I see a silver car pull up slowly at night, especially when the driver doesn't say anything. Sometimes the person who's supposed to take you home isn't there to take you home. Trust your gut when something feels wrong, even if the app says everything is fine. Technology can lie. Your instincts usually don't. This happened when I was living alone in a 3-story apartment building in a quiet neighborhood outside of Indianapolis. It was an older, complex 1970s construction. Long outdoor hallways, metal railings, the kind where you can hear your neighbors walking above you. I was in apartment 312 on the 3rd floor. The unit directly below me, 212, had been empty for almost 2 months. The previous tenant moved out suddenly, and the landlord was having trouble finding someone new. One night in early December, I woke up around 3 a.m. to the sound of footsteps downstairs. Not loud thuds, just soft, steady walking, like someone pacing slowly across the living room carpet. At first, I thought it was nothing. Old buildings make noises, pipes, settling, whatever. But the footsteps kept going, back and forth, for almost 20 minutes. Then they stopped right under my bedroom. I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, listening. Silence. Then I heard the faintest sound like a woman humming a slow, wordless tune. It was coming through the floor, soft, almost gentle. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next evening, I ran into the landlord in the parking lot while I was getting my mail. I asked him if someone had finally moved into 212. He looked surprised. "No," he said. "Still vacant. We've had a couple people look at it, but nobody's signed yet. Why?" I told him about the footsteps and the humming. He gave me that polite smile people give when they think you're crazy. "Probably just the couple in 211. Thin floors. You know how it is." But the couple in 211 was on vacation in Florida. I knew because they'd asked me to take their packages. That night, the footsteps started again at 2:47 a.m. This time they were slower, more deliberate. Then came the humming. Same soft melody. I got out of bed, heart beating fast, and pressed my ear to the floor. The humming stopped immediately, like whatever was down there knew I was listening. I didn't move for a long time. Around 4 a.m., I heard the sliding glass door on the balcony downstairs open and close. I crept to my own balcony, looked down, and saw the sliding door of 212 was cracked open about 6 inches. The curtains inside were moving slightly, even though there was almost no wind. I went back inside, locked my door, and sat on the couch with all the lights on until sunrise. The next day, I asked the landlord to check the unit. He opened it while I waited in the hallway. The apartment was completely empty. No furniture, no boxes, no signs anyone had been there. The sliding door was shut and locked from the inside. But when he walked across the carpet, I noticed something. There were faint footprints in the carpet pile, fresh ones going back and forth across the living room. The landlord didn't seem to notice. That night, I couldn't stay there. I packed a bag and went to my sister's place across town. I stayed with her for 4 days. When I came back, the landlord left a note on my door saying they'd finally rented 212 to a new tenant, a woman in her late 30s. I never saw her, but every night after that, the footsteps in 212 stopped. Instead, sometimes around 3 a.m., I'd hear soft humming coming from inside my own closet. I moved out 2 weeks later and broke the lease. The landlord wasn't happy, but I didn't care. I still wonder about the woman who supposedly moved into 212. Did she ever hear the humming? Or was she the one who finally made it stop? Some places don't stay empty because they're hard to rent. They stay empty because something already lives there, and it doesn't like sharing. When an apartment has been vacant for too long, sometimes there's a reason no one stays. Listen to the building when it tries to tell you.